What are the Catholic epistles again? Let's say what we know about the Catholic epistles and why we call them Catholics. Catholic epistle, because they're written by the Catholic Church?
No, because they're written by everybody.
Okay, Catholic means? Catholicon means universal for everybody. Why we say that they are Catholic cone, and what are the other epistles? The other epistles are? No, what's the other epistles? That's not Catholic cone. The Pauline. So there is Catholic and there is Pauline. Pauline. What does Pauline mean? Written by St. Paul. But these Catholic epistles written by, list them with me. First one, St. James. And the next one, First Peter. The next one, First John. Next one, Second John. Third one, the next one, Third John. Next one, Jude. That's it. How many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many Pauline epistles? 14. Okay. Why we call those universal or Catholic, and we call those Pauline epistles? Why we call those Catholic or universal?
They're not written towards one.
So these are written, the Pauline written to certain churches or individuals. These are written to all churches and individuals. So we have an example. What are the examples of Pauline? Romans means written to the church in Rome. What else? First, second, First and Second Corinthians. What else? Galatians. What else? Ephesians. Philippians. Colossians. That's Thessalonians. It's Thessalonians again. Timothy. First, second. Timothy. Titus. Philemon. And then the letter to the Hebrews. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. The Pauline is written to Romans. What is Romans? People in Rome. What's First and Second Corinthians? People in Corinth. The Christians in Corinth. How about Galatians? People in Galatia. Galatia is a group of towns, not really one city. It's a group of towns in Turkey now. How about Ephesians? It's a city. Ephesus, Philippians in Philippi, that's in Greece. Colossians in Colossae. Thessalonians and Thessalonians, First and Second Thessalonica is a city in Greece. Timothy is a person. First and Second Timothy is one of the best students of St. Paul. Titus is another disciple. These are, Timothy and Titus were bishops. Philemon is another bishop. Actually, Philemon is a bishop of Colossae and the letter to the Hebrews. While the other ones are actually written to everybody. So we name them, all of them are called Pauline epistles, but these are named after their authors. James, James letter, St. Peter letter first, second, St. John letter first and second and third, and then St. Jude letter. So these are universal letters. What we are studying are the 7 on this side. These are the focus of our study. So what did we do? We finished St. James. How many chapters we have? 5 chapters. Right? St. James the letter is made of 5 chapters. Okay? Okay, that's your bird's eye view. So you know what are the Catholic epistles? What are the apostolic letters? Apostolic letters are 2 parts, the Pauline epistles and the St. James letters, the universal letters. The Pauline epistles are 14, written to certain churches and individuals. The Catholic universal letters are written to everybody. The writers of them are 4, St. James, St. Peter, St. John, and then St. Jude. All right? One more little piece here. These are written for certain problems specific to the church. Romans had a problem between 2 groups in the church. Corinthians have even more than 1 group. They have 4 groups, and they have some other issues. Galatians, they have some issue with going back to be Jews. Ephesians, he was talking more about the church. What's the church? Ephesians. Philippians, he loved them the most. He gave them a letter that's filled with love. This is the sweetest of all the letters, the Philippians. Colossians, they have a heresy they were trying to combat. Thessalonians also have a heresy. Timothy is telling him how to deal with the church as a bishop. Titus the same way. Philemon, he had an issue with a servant who ran away from him. His name is Onesimus. And the letter to the Hebrews is talking to the Jews who wanted to go back to become Jews. Okay. Now we move to the letter of St. Peter, the letter of St. Peter. Yeah, anybody have a question about this? So the Pauline letters are written to specific people and specific churches about specific problems. The Catholicon are written to different churches for general issues. So we're going to talk about today about persecution. What happens when the church is being pressured and harassed and martyrs are going to be made. That's St. Peter. So who wrote? So we're talking about the first letter of St. Peter. First Peter. Anybody knows how many chapters? 5 chapters. It's actually like St. James. Five chapters. Who wrote it? Written by, so that's the name, by Saint Peter. Simple. When he did write it, they said they don't know exactly. It's most probably between 50 to 67 AD. Why 67? Why 67? 67 is the year he was martyred. Nero, the emperor, took St. Peter and St. Paul in the same year. One he hung on a cross, and the other he actually cut his head. What do you think? Which one, Peter or Paul, was hung on a cross? Peter. Peter was hung on a cross. Why? Why was Peter crucified? Yes?
Because Peter didn't have a Roman.
Yeah, that's true. If you were a Roman citizen, that means you're very special in the Roman eye. If they are going to kill you, they're going to cut your head very quickly so you don't suffer. But if you're not a Roman citizen and you didn't have that privilege, what would they do with you, the Romans? They hang you on a cross to die slowly, and it would take you maybe days, 3-4 days to get that, to die out of hunger, tiredness, exhaustion. Mostly, people die suffocated because they hung on a cross and cannot breathe. Yes.
Like, yeah, so like when we did, like St. George, he was like tortured and like they kept like trying, the king kept trying to kill him, and then in the end they just cut his head off, even though that was.
Because he was Roman.
Yeah, because well, yeah, but like there was like no other way to kill him, and even though it's kind of like an honor to be cut off, like your head be cut off, they still had to do it.
Right. After torturing him, yes. But they cut their heads because they can't do it other ways. Killing on a cross is also work of the soldiers. The soldiers have to do a lot of work. So St. Peter was crucified, but when he was about to be crucified, there is a very beautiful movie. I would recommend you see it. It's called Qui Va Dis. That's Latin. What does that mean? Qui va dis? Everybody had run against that title? It's a movie. And the answer is what? Is it? What is it? So what they say about this is St. Peter. I would recommend you see this movie this week or the coming week to understand what happened to St. Peter. So St. Peter in Rome was going actually to be smuggled out of the city. When they knew Nero is about to kill him, look this movie up and see it, please. It's an old movie, but was very, very well done. So St. Peter was actually running away from Rome before they get him to be killed. So he was coming out of the door, they say, and he saw a vision. He's going out of the doors of Rome, out of the Roman, the city, and then he saw Christ. And Christ was sad. And Peter is going out, and Jesus is coming in. And he looks at him and he looks at his face, says, he knows him, right? He says, Qui vadis, Domini, means, what is it, Lord? Why you're sad? And the Lord told him, I'm going back to be crucified one more time for my people. So Peter looked down, and he made a U-turn, and went back to carry his cross. Because the Lord told him, you're going to be, what did he say to him in St. John? You will be, let's read it together. It's go to look to John. John. See what did Jesus say to Peter will happen to him when he gets older. The Gospel of John, and it's chapter 21. So Jesus offered them in that last chapter breakfast by the sea. And in verse 15, Jeremy, can you read for us? Verse 15, John 21. You didn't see that one coming, did you? Neither did Peter, right? John 21, verse 15. Read, please. Because he's going to talk about that in his letter. In his letter, he will be talking about it. Is the Orthodox Bible yours? Might need to read some kind of commentary on it, so prepare it. Yes, go ahead, Jeremy.
So then they had eaten breakfast. Jesus said to Simon Peter,
What's his other name?
Simon.
Who called him Peter? Jesus is the one who gave him the name Peter, Rocky. He called him Rocky, Peter. Okay?
Simon, son of Jonah.
His father's name is Jonah. Yeah.
Do you love me more than
These. Who are these? When he says, do you love me more than these? Do you love me more than these? Who are these? Yes? More than the world? No. The disciples. Because Peter said, if all these, the 11, betray you, I will never betray you. If all of them deny you, I will not deny you. Guess what? At the end of the night, who denied him? Peter. It was Peter who denied him. So Jesus is trying to kind of reconcile him. So go ahead. Do you love me more than these?
He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love
Oh, Peter says, yes, you know that I love you. Okay?
He said, feed my lambs.
Uh-huh.
Keep going.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
He said to him again a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you.
Jesus being annoying here.
He said to him, tend to my sheep. He said to him the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me?
Peter was
grieved because he said to him the third time, do you love me?
Why was he grieved by the third time? Can anybody answer? Yes. Yes.
Was he like annoyed because he Jesus like knows that Peter loves him?
No, but he was grieved the third time. Yes, he knows that he loves him. Jesus knows that Peter he loves him. You're correct. But why was he grieved when he said 3 times? When Jesus said to him 3 times, "Do you love me?" What about the 3 times? Was there something about being 3? Something about 3. Wait a second. Who didn't answer yet? Somebody didn't answer. Okay. Yes.
Peter's gonna
Philibatier. What's in it?
betray him 3 times.
See, he said
Peter's gonna betray him 3 times.
he was already. He did.
Yeah.
Peter denied Jesus 3 times. 3 times when Jesus was standing in front of the high priest, and the servant girl came to him, and the servants came to him. "You're one of his disciples," and he said, "No, I don't know this man." Then the second time he said, "No, your language is from Galilee. You're from his town." I said, "No, I told you I didn't know this man." Third time he started to curse and cuss and be very, very aggressive. So Jesus is asking him 3 times, "Do you love me?" Why? It's almost a what?
Reminder.
A gentle rebuke, a gentle reminders. So he said, did you say that you're going to stick with me even if we go to death? Even if we go to prison? And even if the whole disciples deny me, you will not deny me? And Peter said, yes, I will never deny you. Even all of them, if they deny you, I will not deny you. So Jesus saying to them, do you love me more than them? And he said 3 times, so that Peter was reminded that he denied Jesus 3 times. Continue. Go ahead.
And he said to him, Lord, you know all things, you know that I love you.
Oh, you know all things. You know that I love you, right? His heart is broken now. Yes.
And Jesus said to him, feed my sheep.
Now, before we go into the next part, because that has to do with the epistle, sometimes we don't want to take responsibility for our actions. We want to just shove it under the rug so that nobody talks about it again. No, that's not true. That's not fair. If I have done something wrong, I need to stand up and say, I did it. I'm responsible. I am sorry. And if there is a rebuke or somebody, mama or baba or abuna or teacher is going to give us some hard time, is it okay or not to give us hard time? It should be. What's the truth? It should be okay or not okay?
No.
It should be okay that I get hard time. I should carry the consequences. Jesus here is saying to him, you've done this. And he's saying it to him very gently so that he doesn't hurt his feeling in front of everybody. But he is going to be grieved. It's okay. It's okay to receive grief. It's fine. Once we do something wrong and we don't want to face consequences, we say we don't like the truth. We don't like the truth. We want to live in the dark. We don't want anybody to see it. That's why confession is extremely important. We come to God and say, I have done it. I'm carrying consequences. Lord, I don't know what to do. You can help me with it. But I know that I was wrong. Okay? Now, listen to the coming part. Go ahead.
Most assuredly, I say to you, when you were younger, you girded yourself.
You girded yourself when you were younger. What does girded mean? To gird. What's girding? Girding, guys. Girding. Anyone? No. Girding is a very specific word. What's a girdle? Let me give you another word for it. Belt. A strap of leather that you put around your waist to carry your pants or even tuck in your galabe like mine. You know, that tunic what I'm wearing is what Peter used to wear to put it together so if you're going to run or something, it doesn't, you don't stumble. Because if you put it together like this, like I hold it, if I want to run, I'm going to hold it like this, or better get a belt and do it like that. So he said, when you were younger, you would take a strap of leather and you put it around your waist so that actually you get yourself ready to go wherever you want. What's the next part?
And walk where you wish. But when then you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will gird you and carry you where you.
When you get older, you will stretch out your hand. Anyway, listen to me. Listen. I want you to visualize. This is an image. I love when you understand the images of the Bible. It makes a big difference. So let us say somebody's going to put a belt around your waist. And let me say, okay, Nicole, come up here. Let's go and do this. This is my belt. That's the belt. When I was younger, I used to do this. Okay? I used to do this. Okay, this is what I do, right? I did it this way. Let's say that I want Nicole to do it because I'm older now, I can't do anything. How are we going to do it, Nicole? Okay? Stretch it for me. You're going to do it for me.
Oh, okay.
Okay? You're going to gird me. Right? So I'm going to stretch out my hand. Let's see how I'm going to do it. Okay? Nicole and I, she's going to put that around my waist. Let's put it around my waist.
What?
What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Move my hands.
To there. Then, well,
What am I doing?
it's okay.
What am I doing? Okay, go ahead. Put it around my waist.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to help you. Okay. All right. So what am I doing? What am I doing here? Look at me. Don't look at her. What am I doing? Look at me. Look at me. Okay. I'm actually
There we go.
stretching my hand like that. So if she wants to put a belt around me, I have to move my hands away. And I will stretch my hand this way, not this way, right? So what does that? What's Jesus giving him an image of? So Jesus is telling him gently that he will be... Now you're going to read the next part and you will understand. He says, when you were younger, you put a waist around your waist. You put a belt around your waist. You girded yourself and went wherever you wanted. But when you get older, you would have to stretch your hand and then continue, Jeremy. Stretch your hand.
This he
No, wait a second. Remove that. Repeat that last part.
stretch out your hands, and another will gird you and carry you where
Another will gird you and carry you to where you don't want to go. He said that. Why? Just continue.
This he spoke, signifying by what death he would glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said to him, "Follow me."
Right. So he said he signified by what? What death he's going to die. So when he told him that you're going to stretch your hand, he spoke about his death. So how St. Peter's going to die? Die with his hand stretched like that? And then St. Peter said, I know, because the Lord told me. You guys don't need to tell me anything. I know. The Lord told me that I will die on a cross. But when it came to happen, Peter said to the soldiers, don't crucify me right side up. I want to be not like Jesus because it's not right. He said, I'm not worthy to die like him. So turn the cross upside down so I would be different than him. The whole point is he's saying he thinks he's not worthy to be like Jesus. So they crucified him upside down. It's very tough. You're gonna see this movie? Try to find it. It's Qui Vadis. Yes. Okay. So that is how St. Peter expected to die. And he will be done this way in Rome, while St. Paul will be beheaded. Okay. Now, let us go into the letter itself. So the author is St. Peter. The date is 50 to 67. We don't know exactly when. And then what about the major themes? We have 5 chapters. Major themes means the big subjects. The major themes of this letter. One theme is definitely holiness. They all go and talk about holiness. They said, you're not like the people in the world. You are the chosen people of Christ. You are his people. So he is holy. You got to be holy. That's the first one, number one. Number two is submission. Submission. Number three, what does submission mean? To follow rules. To follow the rules and not to break them. Number three, patient suffering. Number four, disciplined unity. In the church. So you have holiness, submission, and a submission to rules in life, actually. In rules, the roles, actually, in the roles we have in life. You are a child. What's your role? To submit to your parents and then the authority over you, your teachers, tutors, the priests. So the third one is everybody's going to have some suffering to go through because you're Christian. Sometimes the suffering is to pray when you're tired, to stand in the church and offer God praise when you're distracted and you're struggling so much against all that distraction. That's patience. Disciplined unity in the church means we are actually going to work so that we become one body. When you gossip, when you talk behind people, that's breaking unity. When you make groups and cliques, you're not actually working on the unity of the church. That's what the apostles will fight, big time. St. Paul is going to do it, St. Peter is going to do it when you're actually making cliques and people are groups, not one heart and one body. This is against the apostolic teaching. You understand me? So you can actually think about this. When you tell your friend, I don't like her, don't talk to her. Or, I don't think we should include him in the game. Think about it. This is not disciplined unity in the church, okay? What is the story of this letter? St. Peter is sending this to what we call diaspora. What diaspora means is a Greek word for dispersed, scattered people. Most probably, what happened? After St. Stephen in the book of Acts got killed by the Jews in Jerusalem, all the Christians in Jerusalem left Jerusalem because they started saying, then they're going to turn against us. The leaders, the high priest and the leaders will turn against us, so they started going everywhere. What's the first city outside of Jerusalem the Jewish Christians went to? Anyone? Yes?
Rome?
Rome is the last one. Yes, Rome is the place they went to. You're very true. But what is the first one? Outside Jerusalem, what's the first city that the Jewish Christians who believed the apostles? How many Christians were made on Pentecost? How many? Anybody?
3,000.
3,000. So these 3,000 families are going to leave Jerusalem and go somewhere else. What's the first place they go to? I want to tell you something. The original churches are five. Five churches made outside so what is the first one? You know, it is Jerusalem. What's the second one? The first one after Jerusalem, they ran to? Huh?
Alexandria?
That's actually with Rome, yes.
Israel?
No, Israel is the whole country. Second one is called Antioch. The third?
Ethiopia?
No, it's Rome. The fourth? Alexandria. And the fifth, later, very much later. What is it? 5? Constantinople. This is when Constantine had started taking over the rule. That's actually 300 AD. This one is maybe 50 or 45 AD. This is 33 AD. The Pentecost. This one is maybe 60 AD. This one is 67 AD. This one is 300. These are the 5 main churches. And by the 3rd century, by the Council of Nicaea, there were 4 sees: Jerusalem, Antioch, Rome, Alexandria, Constantinople. If I ask about what are the 5 original churches, these are the 5 original churches. This one is in Israel. This one is in Syria. This one is Italy. This one is in Egypt. This one is in Turkey. Constantinople now is a small place, not really big because it's taken over by the Muslims. All of this except Rome is taken over by the Arabs. Jerusalem is now in the hand of Israel. Okay, now, so he speaks about the diaspora, dispersed. What does dispersed mean? Everybody who's outside Israel, Jerusalem. Dispersed, they went scattered. The first one is Antioch. He's mostly writing to the places in Antioch and Asia Minor. Okay, now let's go into the first chapter. We're going to just do the introduction, only the greeting. Okay, Jeremy, continue. Greeting to the elect pilgrims. Go ahead. Peter. Peter.
Oh, Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, and to the pilgrims of the
dispersion, diaspora is the scattered Christian.
in Pontus,
Galatia, Cappadocia,
Cappadocia, Asia, and
Bithynia. Where are they? They are in Asia Minor. That's Turkey today. Okay, go ahead.
elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, and sanctification of the Spirit, for obedience and sparking of the blood of Jesus Christ. And grace to you and peace be multiplied.
Let's stop here. So he calls himself Peter. What? How is he identifying himself? An apostle. If you're going to send a letter, let me ask you this. If you are going to send a letter to church, how are we going to say who you are? What? One second. In communication, when you talk to somebody that you don't know, you first start by starting by saying who you are. Define yourself. When you're going to deal with your friends, I recommend, this is for you, when you deal with your friends or outsiders, before you start communicating and talking, first of all, tell yourself, who do you want to be? Say, God forbid, I have a problem with Tuta. Pretend that we have a problem. And then I'm going to talk to her. Before I go and talk to her and be angry, I say to myself, first of all, know who you are. You are Abuna, she's your daughter. Don't forget that. So I go and speak to her as Abuna, as a father. But if I take the things that we have done between us personally, I might actually be less than a child talking to her. I get like ranting and raving and just being angry and stomping the ground and who knows what I'm going to do. But if I actually remind myself who am I'm going to speak to her like Abuna. If she's done something wrong to me, that's fine. I'm just going to deal with it as Abuna. I can deal with it like her younger daughter or younger sister. And I'd be like crazy, acting up. So before you go and speak to somebody, first of all, know who you are. So every apostle in the writing, they start by first saying who they are. Peter, the apostle of Jesus Christ. That's how he writes to them. I'm not going to write to you as a news reporter. I'm not going to write to you as a teacher. I'm going to write to you as an apostle. Okay? And who are they? They are the pilgrims of the dispersion, Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. Elect means What does elect mean? Chosen. Elect meaning chosen. That's what you need to write. When you say pilgrims, he says pilgrims. What does pilgrims mean? So these words we have to remember. Diaspora or dispersion, scattered. These are the words we want to know. Dispersion means scattered. They're not together in one place. Number one, that's number two. What's the other word? Pilgrims. What does pilgrims mean? Pilgrims?
People from outside the city.
That's outside, that's exile. But pilgrims mean have no permanent home. These are words we have to know. Pilgrims, they don't have permanent homes. So you might be living in an apartment or a house that your parents bought. But in fact, as a Christian, you are a pilgrim. Like who? Who was a pilgrim? Who was a pilgrim who has no house? The disciples. Jesus was a pilgrim. Abraham was a pilgrim. Where did Abraham live? In a tent. When you live in a tent, does that mean that you are living in a specific place? No. You can get your tent together and move. He was not a place, there was not a place for him. People who lived in houses, they wanted to stay in that place. Pilgrims mean we don't belong here. Even if you have a house, you really don't belong. It's not your permanent place. Where is your permanent place?
Heaven.
In heaven. That's where you have really a house waiting for you. Be excited about that one. Be very excited about the house, because that house you're not going to leave. So this is called pilgrims. And everybody who's part of God's people is called a pilgrim. So he, in the second verse, he's going to speak about the Trinity. Let's talk about the Trinity. In the second verse, read it again, Jeremiah, last part. Elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, sanctification of the Spirit, obedience, sprinkling of the blood of Jesus Christ. So what is the Father doing? Father, foreknowledge. Election. The Spirit does what? Sanctify. And what does the Son do? Father, Son, and Spirit. What does the Son do in this verse? He says the Father had chosen you. The Spirit is sanctifying you. And the Son does what? Oh, the Son does sprinkle His blood. So how are we going to be Christians? By the choice of God the Father, the sanctifying of the Spirit, the sprinkling of blood of Christ. You read that verse again? Read that verse again? Yes?
What does that say for Father?
Foreknowledge, election. Like He elected. Elects means to choose. The Father had chosen you. How did the Father choose you? He said, you're going to love my Son, and I chose you through my Son. That's the election. He said, the Father is choosing you. As long as you love Christ, the Father has chosen you. Okay? And the second one is the Spirit sanctifying and the sprinkling of the blood of Christ. Okay? That's it. Right.